The Coach Todd Dodge Show is brought to you exclusively by Discount Beds and More. Now, your hosts, Jennifer Fierro and Ben Shields.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening on KBEY 103.9, Texas Best Country, and Northland Channel 15. It is brought to you by Discount Beds and More in Marble Falls. Also, first 5 people that come in this evening get a goodie. And also get registered for a prize from Home Depot as well at 1007 Avenue K. So it's a bye week for the Marble Falls Mustangs, and Coach Champion won last week 59-37. So coming out of that game, going into the bye week, how do you all recover?
Well, as we talked about it, as a team, throughout the year and throughout the journey, that when you win, it is complete elation. Our kids work extremely hard. They've worked extremely hard since last spring through the summer conditioning program, through fall camp, and every day of the week. So when you get into the grind of a football season, you've got a 4 days of preparation, and then you play on the 5th day, and you go after those victories. And boy, when you get them, it feels really good. And when you don't, it's it's a terrible feeling. It's one of those deals that everybody wants it so bad, and you don't get it. And so we use that as motivation to come back and work hard. So we're on the off week right now, and we've had 2 practices. And the kids are, I think they're very resilient. They came back with a great attitude yesterday. We practiced at about 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning into the athletic period. Had a great workout as the sun came up this morning. And so I'm pleased with so far how this week is going.
The Chargers, they had a very potent running game. What made their the running game so tough to stop? Well,
they had two guys coming in, the quarterback and the running back, Pospisil, number 23. And we talked about him last week as a guy that we had to contain, and we just didn't tackle him very well, at times. And he's really a good high school running back. Made us miss, at times, those kind of things. But we didn't do a very good job early in the game and getting him corralled. And he had over 300 yards rushing against us, in the game. So that's something that we've got to shore up as we go forward.
Coach, we can talk about the deficiencies on offense, or both deficiencies in the first half, rather, but I also felt like there were plenty of explosive plays again for you guys there throughout the game. That was something that in week 1, you wanted to shore that up. Did you feel like you saw what this offense can do when it comes to explosive plays against Champion?
Well, we have since first week against LaGrange, when we were 1 of 11 on shots, as we call them. We didn't hit near enough. You need to hit about 3 or 4. Since then, we have. Our problem offensively last Friday night was we got 3 touchdowns called back because of penalties. And everybody's got their opinions on referees and officials, and I will hold my opinions. I can promise you that this wouldn't be the appropriate place. But bottom line is you got to play clean football, and there were some of those instances when the flags were called, we got called back. We should have gotten penalties called on. So we've got to clean our game up, and that was the biggest problem, throughout, is about every time we would score or get a big gain to put ourselves in the hunt, we get called back.
Also, Coach, we talked a little bit about team chemistry with your sophomore quarterback, Brendan Wooten, and with your seniors and so forth. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how you've been able to see that develop over the last 4 games?
Well, they spent a lot of time together, and they spend a lot of time together day in and day out, and the chemistry is definitely starting to come together. And Brennan is a young man that has a tremendous passion for the game, but he's still just 15 years old. And when you come into a varsity setting, when you're that young, you have to get a few skins on the wall before he feels comfortable stepping into a leadership role. And I can see him gradually start to step into that, be more vocal. And it's a nice thing to see, because any football team that you have, it's pretty important to have your quarterback as one of your top leaders, regardless if he's a sophomore or a senior. And I told him the other day that I'm proud of the way he's stepping up, but he's got a few skins on the wall. He's had a few good games, and then he's also showed a little toughness.
Now, last year you talked about how you always would eat lunch with your quarterback, say, Brown Baggett. Does Brendan Brown Baggett, so y'all can talk about the game?
Absolutely. He's a guy that brings his lunch every day. and he comes to the field house to watch extra video. And they don't have very long for lunch, but as soon as he gets there, he starts eating a sandwich, and I turn the video on. And so, yeah, he's a guy that we get as much time as we can in.
Coach, feel like how much of what Brennan does is what you teach him versus his own skill and talent taking over during the game? Well,
when it gets down to it in coaching, it's more about the Jimmies and Joes than it is the X's and O's. You'll hear that every once in a while. You got to have good players, and you got to have players that go out and are productive. Our job as coaches is to kind of steer them in the right direction, and to teach them and to make sure that they're getting the proper reps that they need to be successful on a Friday night. And he's a guy that, he's as good as I've had in a while of taking, film room reps and turn them into positives on a Friday night.
It is the Coach Todd Dodge Show on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15, brought to you by Discount Beds and More. Coming up, we'll look at the highlights from this past Friday night and much more right here on KBEY 103.9. Appreciate you tuning in this evening. Also on Northland Channel 15, it is bye week for the Marble Falls Mustangs, so they get a week to rest up, go over some things in practice, then get ready for the Cedar Park Timberwolves next Friday night. We'll talk more about the Timberwolves next Tuesday on the Coach Todd Dodge Show. Let's get right to the highlights. So a 7-0 Chargers. The Mustangs get the ball. They're driving. And then they got to kick a field goal by Alejandro Bersonio. The 27-yard field goal from the right hash is good. Gets the Mustangs on the board at 7-3 with 7.5 to play in the first quarter. Y'all were able to move the ball, Coach, in that on that first drive.
Yeah, we got a few explosives. We got ran the ball well. Got a few completions to Garrett. Got a big, fly route down inside the 10-yard line. A little disappointed we didn't come away with a touchdown right there. They stiffened up, and we had a play that we ran that was very effective for us last year. It's the first time we run it this year, and that kid made really a nice play on it. We had JT open the back of the end zone. Kid kind of jumped up and made a play on third down. Alejandro came in and put it through, and that's what we want. The goal is to score on the first possession of the game. It doesn't matter whether it's a touchdown or a field goal. We want to make sure we get points. And so for the fourth game in a row, we were able to score on the first possession, which was a positive.
It was 21-3 Chargers. Mustangs looking to stem the tide. And here's a familiar connection starting to brew this season. Big play here. Wooten has it, looking to throw. Fourth down, looking for Gray. He's got on the slant. The 25, the 20, the 10, his speed. Puts on the Jets into the end zone. Touchdown on fourth down. 40 yards. Wooten finds his favorite target, Garrett Gray. And the Mustangs make it 21-9 with 48 seconds to go. That's the play that the Marble Falls Mustangs needed. Y'all have had some big fourth down conversions this year going for touchdowns.
Well, what we've done, as you noticed in week one, Carson Bowen got hurt, and we were scrambling to kind of manufacture a punter. We think we've got one now, but when we're down on that end of the field, we'll stay in, just keep our offense out on the field, and so we can either quick kick or we can run a play. And so both against Smithville, against Boerne, and we've stayed and had a big play on fourth down, and that was what we call a glance route by Garrett, and it was really a nice throw and great protection by our offensive line.
On the next score for the Mustangs, sophomore quarterback Brennan Wooten also shows that not only can he throw, he can also run. Here's Wooten in the shotgun, Jerome to his right. Fakes the handoff. Wooten and the keeper has a hole. The 30, the 35, the 40. Brennan to the 50. He's to the 40. Wooten to the 30. Showing his speed to the 20. He's to the 10, the 5. Touchdown. 75 yards on the quarterback keeper. And the Mustangs on the board. It's 42-15 with exactly 5 minutes to go, and the crowd on its feet. All right, Coach. So how important is that when coaches watch tape now, opposing coaches watch tape, knowing that the quarterback, not only can he throw, but he can also run, double threat?
Well, he has done a nice job of getting us what we needed in the run game. That was a zone read play. The defensive end ran the heel line, and, we had some games, some bubbles playing outside. The Rover, took that, and Brennan split it. And I told him on Saturday morning, I said, you are considerably faster than you were this time last year, and of course he's just like all of our players. They did a great job. David Granson, our strength guy with performance course, does a tremendous job with our players, just continually getting them, stronger and faster and quicker, and I attribute the improved speed with our summer conditioning program and what Coach Granson has done. But it really is good to be able to him to be productive in the run game. We try not to run him too much, but that was obviously a big play for us.
Did you realize Brennan was that fast?
Well, he was running, and I tell him, get what you can, be smart, and no one really got in his way, so he just kept running, and he really showed some nice foot speed.
He really did. All right, so we go to the third quarter, and Wooten goes through the air again. Jerome, the running back with Wooten. Wooten sprints out to the left to throw. That's Buchanan, has it the 5, dives for the end zone, and he gets in. Nice effort by Zuri Buchanan, 12 yards. That's Wooten to Zuri. And it's now 52-22. Champion still in front with 4:59 to go, but a nice effort by Buchanan finding that pylon in the corner. Nice drive by Zuri. He caught a screen pass earlier, and then he's able to get that into the end zone.
Zuri has stepped up for us in so many ways, and he's just continuing to become a better football player. He hasn't played a whole lot of football, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago. But that was great effort. That was what we call a flat route, just sprint out and bang it home into the boundary. And he literally kind of left his feet and dove into the end zone from about 4 yards out and got to the pylon. So, at that point in the game, we had a lot of players selling out. At the start of the second half, we wanted to try to get the game to 45-30, before, and hopefully you get it to a 2-score game, and we just weren't able to. We couldn't match scores with them at that point. When they were up 31 at halftime, we needed to make sure that we scored on more occasions, and we weren't able to get that done.
Now it's time for Key Jerome to have a long run of his own. Jerome takes the handoff, and he will break a tackle to the 40. 45 still up, the 50, down to the 40. Jerome, the 30, the 25, the 20, the 15, the 10. Jerome pushed and into the end zone, touchdown. Good balance by Jerome. Looked like he was going to go out of bounds. He kept great balance down the sideline the last 3 or 4 yards, and he goes 74 yards on the scamper. Coach, the team really didn't quit.
No, and at halftime, if you're in this business long enough, you play this game, you coach this game long enough, you're going to have, one of those situations happen where you're just getting your tail kicked, at halftime. And at that point, you got to all kind of look each other in the eye and say, listen, there have been comebacks in these situations before, but the only way it happens is we absolutely stay true and don't quit, and try to just work our way back and wiggle our way back into this game and see what happens. So that's what our players did. They spent the next 24 minutes on both sides of the ball, kicking game, everything, on fighting their tails off to try, and have some pride about them and try to get ourselves back in the game. That particular run by KJ was the exact same play that Brennan ran for the touchdown earlier. Just happened to be the way you read the zone read. The end played the quarterback, and Brennan handed it off, and KJ popped it for 75.
It is the Coach Todd Dodge Show, and that'll do it for the highlights from the Boerne Champion Chargers ball game. Coming up, we'll talk about the bye week and also about District 25 4A as that gets underway this week. It is the Coach Todd Dodge Show on KBEY 103.9, Texas Best Country, and Northland Channel 15.
Here's Ben Shields and Jennifer Fierro.
On Northland Channel 15, brought to you by Discount Beds and More. Also invite you to come on out to the Coach Todd Dodge Show here at the KBEY Studios, 1007 Avenue K. You can get a prize for coming on down. Also, get registered to win something from Home Depot as well. All right, Coach, so you're in the bye week. How does the bye week work for the team?
Well, as you go into it, the first thing you want to do early in the week is you want to get down to working on yourself. So the last 2 practices have been a whole lot of Mustangs working to get the Mustangs better. Just fundamental football. We practiced Monday afternoon, had a really good practice. We practiced this morning, being Tuesday, at about 6:45. We got out on the field and practiced before school into the athletic period. Really, really pleased with the way our players responded, this morning, and got a lot done. Tomorrow we will start to get a head start on Cedar Park. So that's usually the way that an off week goes. Is you make sure that you're working on your fundamentals, trying to polish things up, and then you start to get a head start and take advantage of the off week.
Coach, do you like having the bye right after you finish your pre-district schedule and right before you start District 25 4A play?
If you're going to have one, I think it falls at a really good time. I think if, anybody, say if you had your perfect scenario, what would it be? This kind of breaks things up. It gives you a chance to kind of regroup. We're 2-2 right now. This year, last year we were 3-1, coming off a big win. Sometimes people think maybe it hurts your momentum, but right now it's a good time for us.
Coach, your thoughts on District 25 4A? I believe it's the elite district, the top district in Class 4A. I'd put my district up against any district in the state in any class. Where would you put yours?
Well, I believe that it absolutely is the toughest district. I know there's some others across the state. There's another one right here in Central Texas with the Georgetown and Elgin and Manor that's getting pretty strong themselves. But when you have a defending state champion and a defending semifinalist, and then you still have Leander high in there, and there's some really good teams, and teams getting better all the time. And I wouldn't want it any other way for us. It makes us have to raise the bar. It's a tremendous challenge, but we've told our players, as we go through the next 6 weeks, we've got some great challenges ahead of us. However, I believe that we've got the ingredients to expect to win enough games to get one of those 4 playoff spots, and that's what our goal is. And like I tell our players all the time, it's not going to happen because I say it's going to happen, because we all together are going to go get it done. And so I'm very excited about getting better this week and then going into the journey of the next 6 weeks.
Looking at the teams going at it this week, what sticks out at you?
Well, you've got Cedar Park and Leander, which Leander is tremendous athletically. Cedar Park is just a tremendous football team and got a lot of folks back from last year's state championship team. Then you've got Rouse and Dripping Springs playing, and Rouse will be our second district game. And then you got Vista Ridge and Vandergrift playing. So we'll have coaches out to watch all 3 of those games. Some members of our varsity staff will be at each one of those games, and it gives us a chance to see personnel and kind of get a scouting report a little ahead of time on everybody.
Coach, do you think that the district overall is stronger this year? The competition is better this year than last year?
It's really hard to tell until you get into it, until we actually lay eyes in person on some of the guys in our district, and we haven't. We're starting to see Cedar Park. I mean, I looked at a lot of video today on us in Cedar Park last year, and that's kind of what I've been doing all day. And then we get video in tomorrow, so we'll start to see them. But I just know that there's quite a few players back on each of the teams, and so usually when you've got quite a few players back, you got a chance to be better. So I think that the district, it would not surprise me one bit to see another state champion come out of this district. It would not surprise me to see a couple other teams make long playoff runs, coming from this district. And so, the Marble Falls Mustangs are going to bite and scratch and fight and claw and do everything we possibly can to get one of those spots. And there's going to be some heartache over the next 6 weeks, and there's going to be some elation over the next 6 weeks. Bottom line is we got to try to manufacture at least three wins to try to get ourselves a seat at the table, so to speak. Last year, talking to opposing coaches, they always brought up it was very SEC-like with the nasty defenses and the power offenses. Yeah, there are people want to enforce their will and want to run the football and play great defense. It really is. All right, Coach. Well, you talked a little bit about the bye coming this week, right before you start District 25 4A play. You think it's a good time? Do your players think it's a good time? Physically, where are you when you think about injuries and nicks and that kind of thing? Well, I think that, from an injury standpoint, like I tell our players that there's nothing we really can do about injuries. We're getting Carson Bowen back. Carson has slowly been getting ready, and he got actually cleared today, so he'll be practicing this week and all of next week and getting ready. He'll be back. Of course, we had a huge loss last Friday with Ty Coffey. Ty broke his ankle and will have surgery on his ankle to repair it, so he's lost for the season. So we're going to have some people step up at that X position as we go forward, and we think that we've got the depth at receiver, and it'll kind of be by committee as we go forward. But there were some bumps and bruises and things like that. It's a nice time to get us healed up. Usually an unhealthy football team is going to go get themselves in the playoffs. When this is as physical a sport as this is, guys are going to play with bumps and bruises and things like that. But this kind of gives us a chance to get our legs back under us.
This is the Coach Todd Dodge Show on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15. Do want to remind you, if you got a question for Coach Dodge, you can get it in by going to our website, KBEY-FM.com. That's KBEY-FM.com. You'll see right there on the front page where you can submit your question for Coach Todd Dodge. That's KBEY-FM.com. We'll wrap it up after this.
Now, back to the program with Ben Shields and Jennifer Fierro.
Thank you so much for tuning in this evening, also on Northland Channel 15. It is the last segment of the Coach Todd Dodge Show. And before we get to the middle school games, Coach, we do have a couple of questions here. Don't forget, you can submit your questions by going to our website, KBEY-FM.com, and submit your question right there for Coach Dodge. All right, Neil from Marble Falls wants to know how coaches can correct penalties such as personal fouls, false starts, etc.
Well, personal fouls are ones that players have to keep their composure. And usually a personal foul is a situation that's going to happen because of frustration gets the best of you. And so we have to constantly talk with our players, again, about control things you can control and don't get so frustrated in the game that you end up making a bad play worse at times. And we had some of that. And, we've got some extracurricular running, for our players when that happens. And, and they're going to make mistakes and they're going to do those things. But we just don't do it again. As far as procedure penalties, we've got to make sure that, that we're, on the defense side of the ball, that we're watching the ball offensively. We usually don't have it because we got a silent snap count. We usually don't have many problems on that. Our biggest problem was holding the other night. We got 3 big gains, 2 of them touchdowns called back because of holding penalties. We just got to move our feet in our pass protection and keep our hands inside the framework.
All right, Coach. And Walter from Marble Falls, he wants to know, do you have a problem with an onside kick early in the ball game when the team's winning?
No, we're always expecting. I think that's a great strategy, and it's a strategy that's used throughout football. And there's a lot of times that that you've got to keep. People are always looking for opportunities to steal possessions. We had the plan in place in a couple of games this year for us to onside kick had we gone out and the scenario been right. And we work on them quite often, and we knew that Boerne worked on them a lot, and we felt like there was a possibility of Boerne Champion, and it's one of those deals. Our kids were prepared for it. We didn't. It's not a deal that we took off too soon. We just took a hop right in the chin, and they stole a possession from us. Right in the middle of that, that nightmare of a second quarter.
You can get your questions by going to KBEY-FM.com. All right, Coach, so you've got middle school games going on this week.
Yeah, our 7th graders traveled last night over to Nelson Field in Austin to play one of the middle schools in the Austin ISD, and our 7th grade B team was victorious. Our 8th graders came up a little bit. Our 7th grade A team came up a little short. And then tonight, as we speak, our 8th graders are in Austin playing at Nelson Field. So let's all be interested to find out how they did as we come into tomorrow. And then Thursday night, our freshman team will be playing against the Boerne Greyhounds, which is Boerne High School. When we played Smithville, they did not have a freshman team, so we've been seeking a game in the off week, and so we got that. So our freshmen will get this game in, which will give them 10 games for the season.
Coach, I'm going to switch gears and go back to varsity football. I know that you cross-train, 8 to 10 guys to be on both sides of the ball. But in the last 4 weeks, do you feel like you've been able to create more depth, especially at quarterback with Carson being gone for the first 4 games?
Well, we have. We've trained some players, at the quarterback position. And hopefully we would not have the, situation that Brennan would get hurt. And so, yeah, a little bit of depth there. We've got Jacob Smith, of course, came in against Smithville, and played well on the one possession that he had. And now, as we go forward, our depth is improved because Carson's back, and he fills all of the same roles that he ever did. But yeah, I feel much better about the depth at quarterback as we go forward.
Coach, we've been talking about the bye week for you coaches. It's been a daily grind since July. Do you get a chance to just unwind a little bit during the bye week?
Well, we've got because we practiced this morning and we've gotten quite a bit done. I'll get a chance to take my wife to dinner tonight, and so we're both looking forward to that. With Thursday we've got some sub-varsity games to go, and then on Friday we'll go watch. We'll have some of our staff will be over at the Leander and Cedar Park game, and I think I'm going to go over and watch Rouse and Dripping Springs play, and then we'll have some Vista Ridge and Vandergrift interest also. So our coach will still be working. We'll work the weekend, but it is a little bit of downtime.
All right,
Coach. It says a lot though that you're married to somebody, the daughter of a coach, somebody who's used to not having her dad in the house, now is married to a coach. Is it a great comfort to you to have somebody to pal around with and go to these ball games with you?
Well, as everybody's seen my wife, I outkick my coverage. And but Elizabeth was in the business before I was. She grew up since she was born. She grew up in being a coach's kid, and so she's been a tremendous coach's wife to understand all of the times that she pretty much raised Riley and Molly by herself. At times. During our life together.
All right, this has been the Coach Todd Dodge Show. We'll do it again next week at 6:30. We'll talk about the Cedar Park Timberwolves. We'll see how all the games went this past Friday night in District 25 4A.
And you and I do not get a bye. You and I will be in Judson, Converse Judson, to broadcast Faith Academy and John Paul II on Friday night. Pre-game at 6:30. We'll be live at 7.
I look forward to doing that on Friday night. That's a Faith Academy Flames right here on KBEY. So join us again next Tuesday at 6:30. Has been brought to you by Discount Beds and More. Don't forget to get your questions in, KBEY-FM.com. You're also invited to stop on by the studio, even get you some prizes.